Welcome back to Skin Deep Wellness Chronicles, the podcast where we dive beyond the surface to explore the well-being of medical professionals, mind, body, and soul. I'm Dr. Lakimerly, and we are continuing our 5-part series titled Healing the Healers, a Journey to Self-Love. In episode 1, we explored what self-love truly means for physicians and medical practitioners. In episode 2, we tackled the martyr mentality, the deep-seated belief that we must sacrifice ourselves for the sake of medicine. If you haven't had a chance to listen to those episodes, I highly recommend going back. They set the stage for what we're discussing today. Now, in episode 3, we're talking about something absolutely essential: emotional resilience and mindfulness in medicine. How do we protect our emotional well-being in a high-stress, high-stakes environment? How do we stay grounded in the face of suffering, pressure, and burnout? Today, we'll break it all down. Let's start with a question. Have you ever found yourself emotionally exhausted by your work, but felt like you had to push through it anyway? Have you ever gone home at the end of a shift carrying the weight of your patient's pain, feeling like there's no room to process your own emotion? That's where emotional resilience comes in. It's the ability to navigate stress, adversity, and emotional strain without becoming overwhelmed or detached. It doesn't mean ignoring emotions. It means learning how to process them in a healthy way so they don't consume us. In medicine, we often develop emotional armor to protect ourselves. And while some level of detachment can be necessary for survival, too much of it can leave us numb, disconnected, and even burned out. Resilience isn't about shutting down emotions. It's about learning how to move through them in a way that serves us. One of the most powerful tools for building self-resilience is mindfulness. Now, I know that word gets thrown around a lot, but let's break it down into what it actually means for us as medical professionals. Mindfulness is simply being present, fully aware of what's happening in the moment without judgment. In a profession like ours, where we're constantly multitasking, anticipating the next emergency, or ruminating on difficult cases, it's easy to spend most of our time either in the past or in the future, but rarely in the present. So, what happens when we practice mindfulness in medicine? We become more attuned to our own emotions, more compassionate toward ourselves, and more present with our patients. Studies even show that physicians who practice mindfulness experience lower stress levels, improved focus, a greater sense of fulfillment in their work. So, how do we actually cultivate emotional resilience and mindfulness in our daily practice? Here are 3 practical, evidence-based strategies you can start using today. Number 1, the pause and breathe technique. Between patient encounters, take 10 seconds to pause and take a deep breath. Use this moment to check in with yourself. How am I feeling? What do I need right now? This micro moment of awareness can prevent emotional overload and keep you present throughout the day. Number 2, the emotional debrief ritual. After a difficult case, give yourself space to process. Find a trusted colleague to talk to, journal your thoughts, or simply acknowledge the emotions you're feeling without pushing them away. Resilience isn't about suppressing. It's about allowing yourself to process so you can move forward. Number 3, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 grounding exercise for high stress moments. When stress or anxiety feels overwhelming, ground yourself in the present by identifying 5 things you can see, 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, 1 thing you can taste. This practice brings your focus back to the present moment, calming your nervous system and preventing emotional overload. One of the most beautiful aspects of mindfulness is that it doesn't just benefit us. It benefits our patients as well. When we are fully present, we listen better, we communicate with more empathy, and we provide more compassionate care. Have you ever had a patient say, "Thank you for really listening to me"? Those moments happen when we are fully engaged in the present, not just going through the motions. So here's my challenge to you. In your next patient encounter, take one mindful breath before you walk into the room. Set an intention to be fully present just for those few minutes. Emotional resilience and mindfulness aren't just nice to haves in medicine. They are essential survival tools. They allow us to continue doing the work we love without losing ourselves in the process. So, this week, I encourage you to try one of these practices, whether it's a brief pause between patients, an intentional debrief after a tough day, or a grounding exercise in a stressful moment. Start small. Over time, these habits build resilience that protects us from burnout and helps us thrive in medicine. In our next episode, we'll continue our Healing the Healers series by exploring the power of saying no, setting boundaries in medicine. We'll talk about why boundaries are so hard for us, how to set them without guilt, and why saying no is actually one of the most compassionate things we can do for ourselves and our patients. I'd love to hear from you. What strategies do you use to stay emotionally resilient in medicine? Share your thoughts on social media using #SkinDeepWellness. And if you found this episode valuable, please share it with a colleague who might need this message today. Until next time, take care of yourself because you deserve it. Be well, stay well.